Over the past week or so, there's been a ton of new gameplay leaks from the next Battlefield game. I already reacted to the initial few videos that were leaked, but since then, every day or so, there's been new clips that have been uploaded to Reddit, Google. It's all apparently coming from Telegram. I mean, I did a quick search on YouTube this morning, and it's not difficult to find this stuff. It's there. I think EA did actually do a few copyright strike takedowns on some of the videos on YouTube and also some of them on Twitter. It's out of control. Of course, I'm not going to show you the new clips today. You can go and find them for yourself if you would like to. But there's a ton of new gameplay information and cool little details and things that we didn't address in the first video. Some really promising looking stuff here. Again, this is a playtest. Things might change before the game launches. Might be a year away. So just keep that in mind when you're listening to this stuff. And as a Battlefield fan, there's some exciting things here for sure. So first things first, we've seen a bit of the destruction already in the first video leaks. There was a clip posted a few days ago where we can see an explosion go off on the side of a building. The facade of the building crumbles, creates a load of debris on the way down, smoke on the ground, and what happens is the rubble from the destruction actually creates a mound in the street. This is pretty wild. I don't think we've had this in a Battlefield game before. I don't think many games have actually done this ever, but building destroyed, rubble lands onto the ground. It doesn't just disappear, it actually builds up and creates a little mound that you could use as cover. That's interesting to me because it's a tactical use for destruction. It's not destruction for the sake of it just because it looks cool. There's a bit of player agency there. Overall, it seems like they've put a ton of effort into the destruction in this game. Next, and again as a Battlefield fan, this is really good news. It looks like first-person takedowns are back and you can grab dog tags. There is a short clip and a few screenshots that have been heavily modified and filtered to try and hide the watermarks, where you can see somebody with a sledgehammer doing a first-person takedown on an enemy and grabbing their dog tag. So it would appear that first-person takedowns are back. A lot of people have been asking for this. For me personally, it's a lot more immersive. BF1, I think, absolutely nailed the takedowns, how visceral and brutal they were. Grabbing dog tags, that used to be a huge part of the game and the community, especially during BF3. So cool to see that coming back. Also, just related to the watermarks, most of this footage, they've covered the obvious ones, but on some of the videos that have a higher bitrate and they're better quality, if you increase the saturation, you can see that there's actually a green watermark all over the screen, repeated about 50 times. I don't think people have realized that, so that's probably why these people are being identified. Anyway, I digress. So next, it looks like you can pick up health and ammo from support players. So in this game, based on the class screens in these videos, it appears that medic and support have been merged into one and they are now the support class. And I've seen a clip where a player goes up to a support player, presses E, gets ammo off them, and also E to get health. Please do correct me if I'm wrong, but I think the first time that Battlefield had this was in Hardline. I know that there are some devs that worked on Medal of Honor Warfighter, and I think you could do it in that game too from memory. You had the buddy system. Pretty sure you could do it there too, and I guess that some people who worked on that game are still within the EA ecosystem, and it would kind of make sense that they end up on Battlefield somehow, but that mechanic is in this footage. If you're desperate for ammo and there's a support player not dropping a box, you can just go and get it yourself. Next one is very unexpected, let's say. There's a very small clip that's kind of funny because you only see it for a split second. A player is in a alleyway and a tank rolls past. And on the back of the tank, you can see a player hanging onto it, kind of using the tank as a ride to get from A to B. There are a couple of games that have done this before. It looks like Battlefield is doing the same thing. And it makes me wonder, are you going to be able to do this on most of the ground vehicles in the game, like Jeeps, LAVs? If it's actually full and there's not a space inside it, you can just jump, grab the back, hitch a ride. Although thinking about it in a kind of evil way, could you use the people on the back to tank rockets for you? So instead of your tank getting hit by the RPG, somebody on the back gets hit by it and takes the damage. I don't know, something to think about. Wait, what if you could hang on to helicopters too? Ah, come on, DICE, please. Next up, in the first BF Leak video where we talked about how they've added the ability to drag teammates and revive them, in some of the new clips, you can see when a support player does it, it seems like they're healing them while they're dragging and reviving them at the same time. So if you're a support player, i.e. medic, you drag, you're reviving them at the same time you're healing them. So when they come back up, they're going to be on full HP. I've seen another clip where it looks like a squad mate does it, who isn't a support player, and it looks like the player revives with lower HP. So they then have to go and find some meds. Also, in related to reviving, if you go down and you call for a medic, when people are running around next to you, you can hear the players screaming, need a medic. They've done a lot of contextual audio in this game, and it's quite obvious if there's a player nearby, they're screaming, I need a medic, need a medic. And if you're playing as support and somebody goes down and asks for a revive, they pulse on the minimap. So trying to make things more obvious, get more revives in the game. And a bit more on contextual audio too. In some of these new clips, there's a lot of players screaming like man down, good kill when you get a kill. They say when they're throwing smoke grenades, they say frag out, they say changing rounds, they shout reloading. I heard a load of swearing in the game too. It seems like DICE have put a lot of effort into the audio scape of the game and making it feel like there are people around you all the time, shouting, calling tactics, asking for help, asking for certain things. Battle chatter, I suppose, would be a good description for it. It added a lot to the atmosphere of the game in the footage. Next, the PTKM-1R was spotted in the footage. In real life, this is supposed to be the most advanced anti-tank mine from Russia, and it has a launching charge in it that detonates when it senses a tank nearby, and that sends up a submunition into the air at 30 meters a second. It then looks for the target that it detected, detonates in the air, and fires a penetrating explosive into the top of the tank where the armor is typically the weakest. So it's kind of like a javelin mine that you can just put on the ground and it will do the job for you. So that was spotted deployed on the ground. However, there is a clip where you can see it in action. This looks and sounds incredible in the new Battlefield game. I watched the clip a couple times and then I found some real life footage of it on YouTube where the Russians were demonstrating it to show, hey, this is a new thing that we've got. And the effect is almost identical. So I think DICE have put a lot of research into this, how it looks and sounds, but that's in the game now. I assume that will be a engineer gadget. There's now a sniper clip out there and we can see in the bottom right hand corner on the UI that zeroing is back. So previous Battlefield games, you could zero the scope. So if you were going to try and hit a 500 meter shot and you knew the range, you could zero with the crosshair right on their head. That's going to be a hit. Love to see that making a return. One other thing I noticed too, that when a player has an LMG in third person, they're holding the gun in a different position, much more lower to the waist. It kind of reminded me of when people played with an LMG type weapon in Battlefront. I'll put some footage on the screen now so you know what I mean, but imagine that's an M249 and it's a way to quickly identify and signpost to players, hey, this guy's using an LMG. There were some stationary tow rocket launchers on the map. I noticed a couple of those around too. Big explosions from those. Couple new guns in some of these new videos as well. I saw the Ace 23, one of my favorite guns from Battlefield 4. And in a similar video, we can see a player just shooting it at the wall to demonstrate the recoil. Kind of looks like there's a lot of vertical recoil on some of the guns in the game. In certain clips, it looks like there's none, but in others, maybe you will have to burst your weapons more instead of just holding down mouse 1. So the gunplay could potentially have a bit more depth in it. The G36, that popped up too. And also scoped RPG, fires a shot, takes out the tank. There's been a lot of discussion on Reddit, on YouTube comments, on Twitter about movement speed too. Some people think that the movement looks a bit too fast or too twitchy. Others think that it's too slow. To me, it looks about the same as BF3. I've still not seen a single person tactical sprint. Doesn't look like that's in the game. So the movement overall will be slower than 2042. There was a graphic I saw that someone had made where apparently a developer had replied on Twitter and said, this is the movement speed of the game, and it's roughly about the same as BF3 and BF4. One thing you need to consider if you're watching this footage, if people have bigger field of view, so you can customize field of view, right? Make it bigger. The game's going to look faster. So that's going to be a factor here on how people are perceiving it. I also saw one clip of a player running along, diving to the ground and stopping. There have been some concerns about Black Ops 6 style dolphin diving and stuff in the game. I haven't seen any of that in this leaked footage so far. And in the clip where the guy dives to the ground and stops. On first impressions, it does look like more of a get out of jail, dive into cover kind of dive rather than a action movie dive that you could spam over and over again. I don't think we're going to have specialist style Black Ops 6 diving in this game. So far, it doesn't look like it will be. And I finally saw a clip of somebody doing a mantle where they pull themselves up over a wall. I love having the option in Battlefield games, so good to see it. And then finally, we've got this message here, which is Google translated from a Telegram post from somebody who is apparently part of BF Labs. They said this announcement was put out at some point. The next playtest will be held on Friday. Invites should be expected at the beginning of next week, Monday to Tuesday. So this Friday, the 21st, you might see a couple Twitch streams. I wonder if we'll see some new gameplay clips. What's going to be changed? The pace of the battle, especially the movement of both the maps and the fighters. Improvements to sliding, landing mechanics. Developers are still selecting optimal parameters. Improvements in death dynamics, dragging, respawning, HP count and resupply, visibility of fighters and understanding what killed you, infantry versus equipment balance. Balance changes will significantly affect future playtests. So definitely some stuff that's got lost in translation there, but you get the gist of it. It looks like in these playtests, the developers are changing things on a playtest by playtest basis and getting feedback from it, which is the whole point of this. Ultimately, when the game releases, hopefully, because of these playtests, it's going to be much better than it would have been. Bugs, balance, features, whatever. The developers also shared statistics. 12% revived their teammates. One of the players managed to melee 16 players in one session. That's a lot of melee kills. RPG is the best choice of players to destroy tanks. It was chosen by 48.5% of players. 37.2% played for all classes and only 8.9% for one. 14.2% tried more than 5 weapons per session. The developers are asking for more experimentation. Also, if you were a part of the first playtest, you will be a part of future playtests. So there it is. That's a summary of all the new leaked footage and this post that was translated from Telegram. Take it with a pinch of salt. If there are playtests on Friday, I'm sure there's going to be more leaks. It's bound to happen. But regardless, let me know your thoughts below, guys. If you've seen any of this footage, how do you feel about it? How do you feel about some of the new gameplay stuff they've got here? Let me know down below. Thank you. Drop me a like. That would be amazing. Really appreciate that. And a big thanks to these YouTube members, William Boreas, Broke, Polo, One of the, Michael Sparks, and Alex Roth. Thank you, guys. Subscribe if you're new here. I'll see you next time. Bye-bye.